Welcome to today's Software AG webcast titled Freedom for Legacy, the 3 keys to setting your legacy free. Today's webcast will be presented by Yovel Badesh, Senior Director, Database and Natural Product Management at Software AG. As we move through today's presentation, we invite and encourage you to submit any questions that you may have via the Q&A box, which is located on the bottom center of your webcast dashboard. We will address your questions at the end of today's program. In the event that we're not able to answer your question, your submission will be noted, and today's presenter will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Today's presentation is being recorded. This program recording will be made available to you in an email that will be sent to you within approximately 24 hours. Additionally, this webcast recording will be posted to the Database and Natural playlist on the Software AG YouTube channel later today. It is now my pleasure to welcome Yovel Badesh.
Thank you so much, Will. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm really excited with this opportunity to share with you some exciting news and a new kind of solution offered by Software AG. I had a chance to look at the attendee list, and I know we have a bunch of existing customers, maybe potential customers and partners. So I wanted to take this opportunity today to introduce all of you to this new approach or new solution from Software AG called Freedom for Legacy, and walk you through the logic and the background of how we ended up here. As Will said, please take the time to chat with us or send your questions as we go through it. This is really supposed to be as interactive as possible. We'd love to hear what you think and what your reaction to our message is. This is the first time that we're doing this kind of messaging and telling this story. We're going to continuously improve on it, but it's important for us to kind of get your feedback. So for those that don't know much about Software AG, I've heard that a lot. We have thousands of clients and large customers all over the world. We've been around for 50 years, but yet we're kind of not everyone is familiar with Software AG as a brand. Many you recognize our products, Adabas and Natural being the legacy solution that's literally started 50 years ago, was born on the mainframe for the mainframe. But in those 50 years, we've done a lot and expanded a lot and had a lot of acquisitions. So today, Software AG is a very unique software provider that like no other. And I wanted to kind of get everyone on the same page. So really, Adabas and Natural were born on the mainframe, as I said, and through the past 50 years, there's really nothing that we haven't seen and haven't really experienced when it comes to legacy environments, whether it's how to meet the requirements and the DEVOPS of legacy and new, how to do API enablement, how to create like real-time integration between the new and the old, etc. And we've been in this space for so long that gives us a very unique perspective that we don't believe anyone else has, this depth and breadth of an understanding of the legacy, which is really the background to what we're about to speak today. One of the things that we've seen and identified, and I wanted to start with, is really kind of the obstacles or the challenges that organizations that have legacy environments are facing. Most of you on the call have some access or some connection with the legacy environment, so I'm sure some of this will be pretty clear. But we see 3 things that are repeating from talking to customers existing and just legacy customers that we're involved with. It's divided into 3 things: the cost, the architecture and technology, and the talent. When you think about the cost, many companies think that it's taking a big chunk of their IT just to keep the lights on. It's not cheap to run on the mainframe or legacy environment, and there's a cost of not participating in new strategic initiative because of the perception of the technology, or trying to rip and replace or change the legacy environment is very costly and very risky. So that's a bunch of challenges around cost. We have challenges around architecture and technology. which is, again, some of it is perceived truth in a way, but we'll talk about that today. But you know, not many companies feel like the legacy is a good basis for their future initiatives. And it's very kind of rigid, closed, doesn't feel like it's you know, open and integratable. It's monolithic, so the data on those systems is locked, and it's really hard to keep up with the realities, you know, with the legacy system that's been around for 40 years. And the last perspective is really the talent, which we hear often. A lot of these applications have been around for many years, 30, 40 years. Finding talent that knows these technologies, train them, retain them, etc., is really hard. And you know, give you an example. One of our customers took, you know, some case workers take between 3 to 6 months to onboard. So it's not just the developers and people that are doing maintenance, but really the clientele and the, you know, the field folks that are using the applications that are being affected. So these are very real challenges and very real issues that most legacy companies are faced with. And this is kind of what we wanted to present today, or kind of address and see what is our solution for that. So the first step we took a while back is our 2050 initiative. So Software AG has been around for 50 years. We are just celebrating our 50 years this year. And we decided to announce to the world, hey, we're going to be here for the next almost 50 years. But we look at our product portfolio and our horizon of time up to 2050. It's a result of, you know, talking to many of our clients that said, well, you know, what is the long-term plan for this platform, et cetera. And you all are aware from a variety of vendors, whether it's Oracle or Microsoft and others, that a lot of times technologies, you know, cease to be supported, or they are being sunsetted and you can't really use them anymore. So this is our bold commitment to the market to say, we're going to be here for the long haul, and we're very serious about, you know, offering the best of breed, you know, platform, a technology platform. So the 2050 initiative includes, you know, cost savings. We have a variety of different options, from mainframe zip offloading, so you can take the workload from the specific CPU or on the mainframe and just put it on a zip engine, which reduces the cost significantly. We've had a lot of success with taking customers and rehosting them to Linux. So move the workload, the Adabas Natural COBOL workloads from the mainframe to Linux. And of course, the ability to kind of run Adabas Natural or a lot of our technology on cloud and containers really creates a path of infrastructure migration that is very flexible and very cost sensitive. So we've had numerous customers that saved millions of dollars already by implementing some of these approaches. We're looking at the talent, and from the development standpoint with our natural one and only, and the DevOps Eclipse integration, where you could fairly easily master the generational change, kind of have a better environment for the users, more modern, so they don't have to rely just on the green screen. They can feel comfortable with the modern environment. We have the offering around API and data integration, and really taking the legacy to anywhere that is modern, whether it's Internet of Things, API management, do analytics. So really whatever you can do on any modern environment, you can now do on the legacy. But that was, you know, as I said, that's kind of a couple years old. We've announced 2050. One of the things we've heard from customers is, okay, well, all that is good, but, you know, how do I get business value? How do I grow the usage of the application? I get they can save money, I can move it, and I can do a lot of things with it, but how do I create a new customer experience? How do I migrate some things to the cloud or integrate with my cloud environment? How do I join the API economy? How do I have an agency-based API structure that could serve other agencies or serve IoT solutions, etc.? Because again, remember, the data in the legacy environment is priceless, and it's been there, and it's an accumulation of many years of millions and billions of records or transactions, and really kind of like, how do you meet the business needs that exist today, you know, with the legacy environment? And that's the topic of today's conversation, which is freedom for legacy. So when you think about freedom for legacy, we've actually went through some marketing discussions, and we were thinking of like, what is freedom from legacy? What is freedom for legacy? You know, a lot of customers that have legacy environments feel that they want freedom from it. You know, they don't want to be on the legacy anymore. We argue that, you know, that's sometimes valid and appropriate, you know, conclusion, but many times, if you could get free your legacy and really create a freedom scenario that it would be perceived and used as a modern environment, there's a lot of potential that comes from that. So this slide that we have in front of us really tells that story. So really, for every legacy environment, or for every environment for that matter, I say that the legacy environment is anything that is in production. You know, anything that is in production for over a few months, it's already legacy. You got to treat it as a working production system, and working with it is a lot different than when you're in the development phase. So there are three fundamental keys that we identify, or three fundamental assets that exists on the legacy environment. The first and the easiest to kind of think of is the data, right? You have a lot of customer data, a lot of, you know, constituent data, a lot of transactional data, and all of these data elements are sitting on legacy environment. It would be incredible if we can kind of have a key, or have a way to leverage that and use it as if it was modern environment. The second asset that we have is the business logic, the rules, the procedures, the code that was written and developed for the past, you know, 10, 30, 40 years, and has been serving the company for that long, and is proven, it's stable, it's secure. You know, that's a great asset to leverage. And last but not least is the user experience. How does users interact with the system? What is the user business flow for opening a case on a human services environment, or, you know, pay their financial bill, or like taxes, or whatever, what have you, on an online environment? So these are the three assets, and this is really the essence of freedom for legacy, is kind of like, how do we simplify the technical value that we can bring in a way that it will be very easy to understand for any business user. So you can take your legacy, if you see on the bottom of the slide, any type of legacy, whether it's mainframe, AS400, OpenVMS, etc., through these three buckets of assets, you know, to whatever is strategic initiative of innovation, whether it's cloud, new application, API, or IoT integration, etc. So that leads us to kind of talking a little bit about the keys, and that's what freedom for legacy is. It's really three keys of battle-proven product that we've offered for many years, that we're now kind of offering together, or trying to create a story around together, that would bring tremendous value to any legacy shop. So the first and easiest, as I said, is the data asset. So how do we unlock our legacy data? And as I'm going to go through the next couple of slides, I invite you guys to reflect and maybe type in the chat area what data freedom scenarios you think you could benefit from, or your organization could benefit from. And if you can write it there, we can pause and discuss that, or I can reflect on it with you. It would be very useful for us to hear from you. So the first data key, or the data key, is a product called CONNX. CONNX has been around for many years, over 25 years. It has over 3,000 customers worldwide. Actually, CONNX was an acquisition that we've made. We actually had that as part of our database SQL gateway technology. So we've used it for our database, and then we saw the potential and basically acquired the company. 90% of the customers are using just like making any legacy environment be SQL ready. So you can take any non-relational database and make it really as if it's relational. Maybe, you know, 40% almost of our customers are using data integration and replication. So it's a very mature, very easy to use, battle-proven environment that provides a complete solution for data integration and data access. So we have over 150 adapters, one infrastructure integrated with the database environment, and really understanding the data world really, really well. So there's really nothing you could think of that you need that we haven't done or haven't seen, and we urge you to challenge us. So come up with a freedom scenario for data and let us show you what we can do. So because I wanted to go a little bit more technical on each element, I have a couple of slides that are a little bit more technical, but not very. From this slide, I really want to stress the usage scenarios, which is the center. You know, you can get to any legacy environment, SQL access, so you could get any database or standard SQL language to get access to your data. Really powerful. If you want a virtual data, data virtualization for different reporting purposes, etc. And really, if you want to do migration or replication, huge use case when cloud is involved, etc. And then if you want to do data analytics and get the value. So now all of these capabilities are relevant for your legacy data, and it doesn't have to be in a silo, and it could actually be part of your day-to-day operation. Another way of looking at this really is CONNX could be that, you know, data pump for any legacy environment that gives you access or opens up your legacy environment to any modern environment, whether it's a cloud like Azure or AWS or any other type of a solution. So before we continue, if anyone, did anyone write anything, Will? Is there any points around the data?
Yeah, I do have something. I do have something for you. And it is as follows. In my organization, it would be interesting to open up our human services systems data to the hospitals and healthcare providers.
That's a great example of a use case where, you know, this story of like, hey, we can open up the environment could play a great business value. If you think about, you know, a hospital or, you know, healthcare providers around your organization, when you're thinking about human services, it'll be very powerful to connect and get access to see whether a certain, you know, family or unit is on, you know, food stamps or on assistance, or what exactly is their situation and what services are they getting, and integrating that with healthcare information and creating a more unified view. I think that's a great freedom example. Thank you for whoever asked that. Anything else at this point?
No, sir. That's what we have just now.
Thank you. So the next key is really reusing business logic, and that's the code and all the functions or functionality that you have currently in your legacy environment. And that the solution for this, you know, business use case is INNOVATE. It's a software AG product that's been around for decades, has over 500 customers worldwide that use it as a mission critical middleware. It has pretty much the support for anything in the legacy, from COBOL, any COBOL program, any natural program, CICS, IMS, etc. And of course, mid-range and Linux, Unix, and Windows environment. So INNOVATE is a powerful integration broker that has a lot of functionality with ability to have zero or minimal, you know, footprint on the server or on the legacy. And a very interesting point, it enables to do bi-directional integration. So not only that you can expose things from the legacy out, but you can actually expose things from outside into the legacy. So you can call existing web services of Amazon or whoever from your mainframe or legacy environment, and have the legacy start speaking with the modern world. I think that's a very powerful use case that is not being explained enough, and I, you know, urge you to think about what would that mean if you can use your let's say legacy finance system and get access to modern web services or integration with other systems, and what would that change in your operation. The usage of ENTIREX, again, you can API and Java .NET integration, and of course, it's automatically and out of the box integrated with web methods, which is our enterprise service bus. The key is, like, you got billions and billions of dollars that are invested in legacy application, and most of the ones that are there today are mission critical. If they were not mission critical, if they were not really super important, they're most likely they would have been migrated off of already, or be replaced by some custom development or commercial off-the-shelf type solution. So really having that ability to create and encapsulate business operation from your legacy environment is really powerful, and I think could really create a very unique innovation foundation for any company out there. If you have a legacy and you can start thinking about your mainframe environment and creating API and kind of layer around it, so you can now have a API library of different departments. Think of a state. I'll use that as an example. So you have the APIs of the transportation or APIs of the human services and et cetera. And now you could comprise really interesting, innovative experiences for users. And we'll circle back to that later. Like I said, there's a couple of key, benefits, like the bidirectional, really the real ability to connect with anything to anything. So, just summarize the benefits and the value of ENTIREX. Again, very powerful solution for the business logic. Before I go to the next key, any thoughts or questions, please type it in. And if we have any, Will, if you wouldn't mind reading one or two, I'll be happy to reflect.
So I have some feedback. The person wrote, it would be useful to call from the mainframe to an outside service to verify mailing addresses.
That's a great example. Thank you for that. A lot of times, when you have the system in the legacy, it's, bringing value from modern systems, like, integrating with the U.S. Post Office service and verifying an address. I mean, you could save a ton on mailing and return mails, and I think that's a great example that that you could think of as a freedom scenario that opens up new operation opportunities. And we'll go back to that. Maybe I'll move to the last key, and then we can have more of an open discussion later. The last but not least key is APPLINX, which really is our key to modernizing the user experience. And again, as before, think of ways that you could benefit in your organization from using this key and modernizing the user interface. High level of APPLINX is, been around for over 20 years, has over 200 customers working in production and mission critical applications. Most of the customer 65 are using the solution for web enablement. About 35% are using it for web API enablement. So that's the ability to take the legacy process and encapsulate that, like, instead of, like, think of it as a automatic robot that can work with the legacy and can do different things and basically encapsulate a whole process. It's a very powerful use case. APPLINX is a complete solution for this topic of user experience. Very low risk, very easy to get results. Same applies to CONNX, same applies to ENTIREX. The real value can be presented in days, and I think that's a big shift when you think about legacy environments. There is this perception that anything to do with the mainframe takes months, if not years, and is very expensive. We're here to try to change that narrative and say, come with the challenge, let us look at it, and we can be your partner to address that. And do something within a matter of weeks or days. So an example, if a company looks at their emulation environment, wants to save the money on the maintenance or not have like a desktop emulation software that needs to be pushed out, etc., APPLINX could be rolled out in a matter of a few hours, and you have a complete web emulation capabilities out of the box from the emulation standpoint, etc. So a more kind of technical view, APPLINX has the connection to pretty much any legacy protocol, mainframe AS400, Unix, etc. It has a lot of capabilities. Again, 20 years in business, so there's really not much that you could think of that we haven't seen and haven't really built into the product. Whether it's connection pooling, the ability to be, ready and have performance that is a lot better, the ability to do data import and mapping to the application to create this layer of separation between the legacy environment and the front end, ability to add database integration, etc., and really a complete solution that from web terminal emulation through web enablement and reengineering, API enablement for processes, and another very unique feature that we haven't really talked about much, which is our ability to do screen test automation. The legacy environment, as opposed to many modern environment, has very little testing capabilities, and a lot of the tests are still being done manually, and by humans. APPLINX has the capabilities of doing like a ton of automated testing and seeing, the results. And I'll have a slide about that next. So again, very powerful functionality that I wanted to showcase out of the four, that you could basically create an automated testing of green screen without having to have humans involved, and kind of have the same functionality that you have for your web and Java and .NET application of testing to the legacy environment. We think that a lot of customers that have legacy could benefit from this and improve their automated testing and reduce failure or mistakes. Any thoughts around that? Anyone commenting?
Yeah, so this looks like an interesting comment. The user says, automating the search for existing financial data for payment and providing it as citizen self-service option on the website is ideal.
I think that's another good example of what this key can do. So absolutely, we have numerous customers that are using APPLINX to take a process that's typically used by a clerk or by a human on premise and kind of encapsulate that and offering that as a self-service solution, whether it's to pay your parking tickets or check on your bill or whatever it is that you need. You don't have to go through that support of a human anymore. You can actually take that and make more of a digital citizenship. So thank you for that comment. So in closing, or kind of summarizing what we've talked about, Freedom for Legacy is a way to really accelerate innovation and reusing what is there. The benefits or the difference it can make is really incredible. When you think about customer loyalty, you can improve call center responsiveness and quality. You can create self-service functions. We just talked about it for citizens or customers and partners. You can do revenue growth and profit opportunities that could be implemented. So if you think about this is business value. We're elevating the conversation from just technical. Yes, we can do this protocol. Yes, it can be this technical feature or that technical feature, but really looking at the business value, like user satisfaction. Like if you can get users, employees up to speed faster with less cost, that's a big win. If you can improve compliance and security and auditing, that's a big win from user satisfaction, etc. So we have a very broad base of business, and business value that we can bring, and we're going to be hitting on that more. You'll hear from us in our blog and our communication around the business value that Freedom for Legacy can bring. And I invite you guys to connect with us, and please reach out to your Software AG account rep or through the email that I'll post at the end of this session, and just engage with us. There's no risk. Ask a question or come with a scenario of like, could I do, like the gentleman or whoever was asking, can I, take, do an address check on my legacy, and, and can you help me with that? Or can we do certain things like a self-service for citizens? So please don't be shy, and feel free to reach out and challenge us around this freedom scenario. And we would be more than happy to collaborate with you and partner, try to bring value and tell that story, because the narrative around the legacy needs to change. There's nothing you cannot do around the legacy environment, and really we believe that it could stay. It has a lot more, horsepower in it, and it has a lot of value that, given the right tools and the right support, could be leveraged to affect the business in a big way. So the key takeaways from today's presentation is really, there's no need to look at the legacy as siloed and a problem. You can reuse it and really create a very strategic path for the legacy to be part of the growth, part of the future, and really doing it in a way that is not risky and not expensive. You can innovate very quickly when you have the 3 keys, so you can get access to what you need. Sometimes it's just the data, sometimes it's a combination of data and business logic, etc. At least now you can present a solution that addresses all of the elements and really kind of set yourself free and deliver a new kind of digital experience. You're not limited just to the green screen or to the legacy environment or just on premise. You can open up pretty much everything you can imagine, of course, with our support, doing it securely, do it the right way, and really support growth for the business. So that's kind of concluding about 30 minutes of what we wanted to present today. I open it up for questions, and this is the email that I would like for you guys to write to. So write to us to freeyourlegacy@softwareag.com. We're more than happy to hear from you. And again, just, even if you don't have a real project or a real team set up or a real need, challenge us and say, hey, could we do A, B, C, or D? And, and engage with us, and we'd love to kind of hear from you. So this has been our presentation. Thank you so much for joining. And Will, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Okay, Yovel, thank you. So to Yovel's point, oftentimes our questions come piling in at the end, so hopefully all of those that are with us today are typing right now. I'm going to start with 2 that I have, but please, anybody that has them, submit your questions at this time. Yovel, the first one I have for you is as follows. How can I schedule a more detailed session around this to present to our legacy team?
Again, email us here on Free Your Legacy. Contact your Software AG representative if you have an account executive. But reach out and, tell us more about what you're trying to do, and we'll be happy to follow up. We really want to engage and provide value, so it's a high priority for us. So take advantage of the fact that it's early stage, and we'll be able to help you very quickly.
Okay, the next one I have for you is as follows. Do you offer POC, POV, trial license options for customers to explore the solution?
Absolutely. And that's, like I said before, again, engage with us. We'll be happy to work with you, get you try license of the software if you don't own it already. Many of our customers do, but many scenarios we've seen that customers own the product, but they don't know exactly what it does and don't know how to use it. So that's an area of our focus right now, and we want to build that success with our install base. So, reach out to us, and we can scope out proof of concept or try license, show you some value. Again, it could be measured in days, and you could show some successes. And I think that could be a very different kind of energy when you think about a legacy shop that is used to moving slow and things taking a lot of time and costing a lot of money. I think we have a very fresh kind of energy here, and we'd love for you guys to take advantage of it.
Okay, the next question I have for you is as follows. Do you have any products that work with assembler?
I believe there is some capabilities. That's a more detailed technical question that, I don't know for sure that ENTIREX or our integration, how exactly it would work with it, but I'm sure we've done that in the past. So please email us on Free Your Legacy with a more specific information, so what you're trying to do, and we'll definitely have one of our experts follow up with you and see what we can do.
The next question I have for you is the software AG apps transforming and replacing legacy systems going to move into a more modernized environment, or is it just a middle layer to display legacy data in a modern platform?
It's both in a way. So you have both scenarios. You can take legacy data and legacy assets and put them just in a new rendering and a new, kind of access. But you can also take the legacy information and move it into a new. So you, like I said, you can take Adabas Natural and run it on Linux. You don't have to run it on the mainframe anymore. It won't, it's not like immediate or out of the box, but we have the rehosting approach where we can take that and move it on a modern environment. So again, come to us, engage, email, and we'll be happy to, to support you and figure out what's the best way to modernize and free your legacy.
A follow-up question to that is, do you provide free proof of concept trial licenses to show how we can leverage our legacy systems to gain value in new modern platforms?
The answer is yes. But again, it's all about the details and the specifics, but absolutely, we would love to engage with existing and new customers and look at their business value scenarios and find out the best technical path to support them and show value, and then engage on a more commercial structure of like licensing and support agreements.
Okay, that is all the questions that we have at this point. I am going to thank you, Yovel. I'm going to encourage everybody that has joined us today to take note again of this email address, freeyourlegacy@softwareag.com. Any questions that arise after today's program, please direct them there. Further, we ask and encourage you to stay abreast of all of the webcasts that we do here at Software AG, and you can do that by looking at the Software AG website, looking under the Company tab, followed by the Events, and then Webinars tab, and you can register for all of our future programs there. So with that, Yovel, thank you so much for your time and a very informative presentation today. Thank you to everybody that has joined us. Our program has now ended. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.